Toro, and I'm going to talk about the strangest day of my life. And this took place when I was at the age of 10. Every year around the summertime, we would take a trip, me, my mom, and my little brother, to Guatemala. We would go visit relatives over there, during the summertime since, school was over and it was a good time to go visit them. So this day started off like a normal day. We went to the airport. We had everything packed the night before. We get on this plane, so we're on the air and we start getting turbulence. And I was 10, so I started getting scared. It's never happened before, and I've been to Guatemala every year for like about 4 or 5 years before that. So, I started freaking out. My mom says everything is okay. It's just turbulence. I didn't know what that meant at that age, but so then we ended up having to stop at another airport. I don't know what it was for, but I guess it was fueling. So, this trip took like more than it usually did, and I remember it took forever. We ended up arriving in Guatemala, so the city of Guatemala, really late. Like I remember it was night, and we usually get there like in the afternoon or in the morning. So I already knew something was kind of different. I didn't like it because it was just weird, And then after that, we saw my grandma and my relatives, and they welcomed us. Obviously they gave me hugs and kisses. Ay, mijo, qué lindo, and everything in Spanish, and I was excited because I love seeing them. So, we got in the car. We ended up going to the city of Guatemala. We ended up going to the house, and we went to go stay at my grandma's house. We stayed there for about a week. And my grandma's house is fairly large. It was a 2-story house. It was probably the largest one in the block. And I remember that they had a backyard, and it was huge. And the reason why I don't really think it's a backyard is because it was all cement. Everything was cement. There was no lawn, and I always thought it was very strange, but I guess that's the way it is. And it was smooth concrete, very smooth, and it was like the poolside concrete. So we ended up eating, and my grandma said, "Oh, we got you your favorite candies." And I love candy, from Mexico, Guatemala. They're very spicy, they're very good. I love them. I know they're bad for you, but I love them. So we ended up going to bed around pretty late. Everybody went to sleep. Everybody knocked out. I had my own room. So my bed is like by the window, and the curtains were very thin. They were white, and I just remember that the moonlight was so bright that night, where you could see, silhouettes of trees, and you could basically see outside. And I remember the crickets were very loud that night, like super loud. And I remember I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning. And then I just felt this very strange feeling, like if something was going to happen. And I just remember seeing from my window, I could see the light on the bathroom on the 2nd story turn on. And I was wondering what it was, and it turned off, and it turned on and off, and it started having this weird electrical thing on and off, and I was wondering who's in the bathroom doing that. So then I just ignored it, and then I heard the crickets stop, silence. It was complete silence. I could only hear myself breathing, and then I hear footsteps. And at this point, I started freaking out, like. I didn't know what to do. I froze. I heard footsteps, and these weren't ordinary footsteps. They kind of sounded like they were bare feet. Like there was no shoes. You could tell when it's bare feet. And it just got louder and louder, like if it was getting closer. So then, at that point, I started shaking, and then I remember just trying to ignore it, and it just kept getting louder and louder, and it get closer and closer, and then it got stopped. And I was sitting there in my room for the longest time, and then I just took a peek, and I see this head, a shape, and it wasn't an ordinary head. It was very strange. I remember it was very egg-shaped. It was very weird. I freaked out. I started on the brink, I started shaking, I started crying. I couldn't move. I wanted to scream, but I was frozen. After that, I blanked out. I don't know what happened. I woke up the next day. I scrambled and I ran to my grandma. I was like, did something happen yesterday night? And I explained it, and they just looked at each other, and they said, nothing happened, everything was okay. You probably had a nightmare, Mijo. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. I was awake. And at that time, I realized that I don't know what I experienced, but I saw something that I could not explain. And after that, it gave me the biggest fear of aliens after that. I was completely afraid, and I was interested in them. I started just reading about them. And at that age, I was so fascinated by we're not alone in the universe. And then after that, I conquered my fear, and I loved them so much that I got a tattoo of one of them because it was a really strange experience, and it's never been forgotten. And that's my strange story.